We want to ride the mountains here, and we want our boards ridden here. We are the local builder and crafter of custom boards and a small production line. The East Coast gets a bad rap for its snow, but it has produced some of the best riders. We want to add to that story. We've created this, a small company that will produce custom and production model boards, and maybe some things you've never seen before. When many companies are moving their operations overseas, we want everything built here in the US.
I was just adjusting some levels, so just if you could just give me the first, I think it was like the first two sentences again, because it was bad on my end.
JP snowboards are designed in JP and ridden in New England. We are a Boston-based snowboard company designing for all New England riders and conditions. We want to ride the mountains here, and we want our boards ridden here. We are the local builder and crafter of custom boards and a small production line.
That's perfect. So yeah, I guess I'll start by asking you some of these questions.
All right.
And just the one thing I found helpful with interviews is sometimes people sort of ease into it. So
Yeah.
I might come back at the end and ask you
That's
the same questions again. Just one thing that's important is I'm gonna cut myself completely out of this interview.
Okay.
So if I ask you a question like, "What made you start making snowboards?" Don't say like, "Oh, say I started making snowboards because,"
Okay.
or like lead yourself into
Right,
the
right,
answers so that it makes sense because the audience won't hear what I have had to say. And for the most part, I'm gonna try and just get your words as is. But if I hear the way you phrase something or thought it could be worked a little different, I might ask you to repeat something with a twist or
Okay. That's cool.
something like that. But for the most part, I'm just gonna try and get you just your answers. So one question I kind of thought of that's not on the list was just when did the connection to snowboards, like not just making them, but like when did you start riding or did you start watching or what got you into snowboarding?
So I guess what got me into snowboarding was growing up in Texas, and we would only go up to Colorado like once a year. So as a kid, that first trip was like, whoa, this is cool, this is fun. And then it became something that I anticipated every year. And because of that, I spent my summers and most of my other time just watching snowboard videos and watching my heroes, Peter Line, like Terry Hackinson, just, Brian Iguchi, just these guys that were just so good. And I was like a little kid at the time. So it was just sort of me daydreaming more than anything. And then in college, I got the opportunity to snowboard, and I didn't go to many classes. But I snowboarded like 3 and 4 days a week for a solid year straight. And that sort of solidified me just loving it. And it's the one thing that just like, I have fun, I disconnect from the world, and it's like a passion of mine. And I'd say that's sort of how it happened is you grow up in hot Texas and you watch videos and you just dream a lot. So I hope that's reasonable.
What led, I guess you can take this if you ever need to.
All right.
What led from your transition for just like a love of snowboards in general towards the making snowboards or the desire to make snowboards?
So the desire to build snowboards and have a company, I think having a company in snowboarding has been a dream for a long time. And it's been one of those things that you think about, and you never really step into doing. But I think what really pushed me is last year I actually had a pretty bad accident snowboarding. Had a pretty good back injury, and you learn how to like get certain muscles to work properly, to walk properly. You go from limping to like being able to walk, and now I can ride again. But at the time, it was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to actually be able to snowboard again. What can I do? Like, it sort of was the catalyst for me going from like dreaming of having a company to like, okay, let's get it on paper. Let's put a business plan together. Let's talk to people. Let's learn how to build them. Let's start the craft. So I think that is what pushed me over the edge, was getting hurt. So I should probably put this down. Otherwise I'm gonna like click it on.
Yeah. So what, in your desire to make snowboards, what made you, like, what drove you to stay local? Why was it not just, why didn't you want to just design boards and send them off and get them made? Like, what made
Yeah.
you decide to stay local and not outsource?
So what makes me want to stay local is I don't have a desire to be Burton. Burton has this great story of Jake Burton designing boards and just becoming this giant company that probably sells more boards in a year than anyone. I didn't want to be that. I really want a small business. I really think building 50 to 100 snowboards, there's something cool about that. There's something fun about that. I'm not trying to make $1 million. I'm just trying to like support myself and go snowboarding. So that's the desire. And I look at this. I look at the surf industry a lot, where you have lots of surf. Trying to remember the word. Sorry. You have a lot of surf shapers that custom shape boards, and they're all over the U.S. and they craft for like their local wave break. Snowboarding has been very much the opposite, and you have these large giant companies doing everything. And I'd like to think that part of JP Snowboard's model is to disrupt that and to be a small local company that sells to people that want to snowboard in New England. And crafting things here, I think, is important because I think made in USA, made with labor used here, just while many companies are building in Dubai and in Japan, why not do it here? Like, there's no reason to not do it here. And that's my phone ringing.
We can, I'll stop. So just to kind of ease back into it real quick, if I could just have you saying just like 2 or 3 different times your name, and then whatever you would say your position would be, like co-creator, creator from JP Snowboard.
All right. Founder?
Yeah, founder, creator, whatever.
I like creator.
Yeah.
Whenever?
Yeah.
Go? All right. So my name is Brian Keith, and I'm the creator of JP Snowboard.
If I could get it one time with just your hands still in your pants.
Sorry. My name is Brian Keith. I'm the creator of JP Snowboard.
Perfect. So, specifically for the Kickstarter, what's the money from the Kickstarter going towards?
Yeah.
What's it going to be able to push JP Snowboards to the next, like what's the next level it's going to push you to?
So the reason for the Kickstarter is to, start over. The reason for the Kickstarter, that doesn't sound good. What should I say?
You could say like what the money is needed for, or
the money from the Kickstarter is good for. Okay. The money from the Kickstarter is really going to be used for tooling. Currently we have a few friends here in East Boston. We have a friend in Utah that is helping us with product, some prototyping, learning how to build ourselves. But the money from the Kickstarter is really so that we can get the equipment that we need so that we can build it here. Yeah, is that good?
Perfect.
All right.
And then what would be your reason to encourage people to donate to JP Snowboard? Whether you want to talk about the perks or just why you should support JP Snowboard as a business is up to you.
Yeah.
But like, when you tell people about your Kickstarter and they say, why should I donate? What would be your number one answer?
Yeah, so why you should donate to JP Snowboard's Kickstarter? I think it's pretty simple. Do you like to snowboard? Do you want to snowboard? So that's an option. Do you want to support a local business? You can grab a t-shirt, you can grab something else. That's an option as well. We really want to get something started. We really want to get to that 50 snowboard point. And once we're at that 50 snowboard point, we've got enough of a small market so that we can continue to get to that goal of 100 boards and then that goal of 300 boards.
So kind of just in conclusion, if you could, that overview in the beginning is kind of a long description of JP Snowboard. So if you just had like a one sentence,
Oh man.
1 or 2 sentence. I mean, if the whole like one sentence thing trips you up, like feel free to go on a little bit longer. But just like if you had to do like a kind of like more concise log line for JP Snowboard, or like most
Yeah.
important keywords, even if you didn't want to formulate a whole
Okay.
sentence, just like things you want people to know about JP Snowboard.
Things about JP Snowboard. Natural looking snowboards. They're, you know, I think that we design a natural looking snowboard, a beautiful board, something that is more than just like you can ride, but you can look at and be like, wow, that's really nice and like cool and handmade, and it has that quality, that craft quality that's really beautiful. So if you're into that, that's one reason. The next reason I would say is technology. We may be small, but the bases we're using are top of the line. You've got a Kevlar, a bamboo lamination in there. So you're getting a poppy board with like a high-tech take on it. You know, we're not using carbon fiber, we're not using like titanium. We're using as much natural products laminated with Kevlar and a layer of fiberglass.
And then just anything else that you would want, I mean, while I got the mic on you and while you have a chance to say your mind, is there anything that wasn't in my questions that you want to be included in the video, or?
I don't know. Shout out to co-creator Alex. You know, a shout out to Mark from Parlor Skis, Evan from Ramp Sports. You know, there's, you know, part of, I think, starting any business is finding mentors and finding people that have done it, and then talking to them and getting to know them and getting their ideas. And in this industry, there's not a lot of small fish out there. There's not a lot of guys that own their own little company, and being able to have, you know, a co-creator, Mark from Parlor Skis, who's doing, you know, he's hand building, handcrafting skis. You know, it may be skiing and snowboarding are different, but building them isn't that different. So he's been a great resource. Alex has been amazing. She's great with marketing and keeps pushing me forward, and doesn't let me stop, as well as you know, our friends in Utah at Ramp, who have helped us greatly prototyping some of our boards.
Awesome. And then the only question I think I wanted a little bit more of a concise answer.
Okay.
Was that one I didn't prep you for, your start of like when you got into snowboarding.
Yeah, okay.
And some parts I thought were really kind of poignant from that were that you weren't able to snowboard, so you just like got like more or less obsessed with it, like watching videos and like into it. And then finally when you could snowboard, it just became what you wanted to do with all of your time. So those I'd say would be the key points to hit if you could just do it in a little bit shorter than what you did before.
So, okay. So what really got me into snowboarding, I grew up in Houston, Texas, and there's not a lot of snow or mountains there. So in the summers, I would spend my days watching videos and just obsessing over snowboarding, so that by the time I got the chance to, I was just in my element. I was happy. I was trying new tricks. I was just enjoying it 100%.
Perfect. I don't have any other questions. I think that's plenty for our video,
Okay.
unless you have anything else you want to make sure to hit.
I don't know. I guess that's kind of it. Oh, thank you, Victor Sanchez, as well.
Perfect.